My 26 female brother Jason, 28, has always been a bit dramatic. He thrives on pulling elaborate pranks and teaching life lessons no one asked for. I forgot to pick him up from the airport a few weeks ago because I was stuck at work and my phone died. He took an Uber home, but he was fairly angry and kept saying things like, "What if something bad happened to me? Would you even notice?" Fast forward to last week, when I got a frantic call from our mom, sobbing and telling me Jason had died in a car accident. I was devastated. She told me there was going to be a small memorial service at our family's house, and I needed to come immediately. I took the day off work, bought a black dress, and even wrote a speech about how much Jason meant to me. I showed up at the house only to walk into the living room and see Jason, alive, sitting in a chair with a smug look on his face. The rest of my family was there too, looking sheepish. Jason stood up and said, "Surprise, now you know how it feels to lose me." I lost it. Apparently this whole thing was an elaborate stunt to teach me a lesson about valuing the people in my life. He said he wanted to ensure I'd never forget to pick him up or take him for granted again. My mom and dad had gone along with it because they didn't know how else to get through to me. I called him a psychopath and stormed out. Jason is furious, saying I'm being dramatic and can't take a joke. My parents think I should let it go because no one got hurt, but I've refused to speak to Jason since, and I told my family I'm not attending any future events if he's there. Jason texted me last night saying I'm immature and making him look bad to the rest of the family. A few relatives who said I overreacted and need to lighten up. Am I the idiot for refusing to attend my brother's funeral because he faked his death to teach me a lesson? Or should I have just laughed it off and appreciated the lesson? Because right now I'm seriously questioning if I'm in the twilight zone. Not the idiot. Your brother's stunt wasn't a prank if it was cruel and manipulative. Your parents backing him makes it worse. You don't have to laugh off something that hurt you just because no one got hurt. Cutting him off is fair. If others think you overreacted, they can deal with his next lesson. You're not wrong to protect yourself from this nonsense. She took time off from work either way. And hopefully, she didn't use bereavement leave, because I can't imagine explaining this to her supervisor, paid for a dress, and rushed over for this prank. I would be beyond livid, and he called her immature and dramatic, like his reaction wasn't oversized and dramatic and immature. Mom would also be dead to me. Wow. Oh my goodness, I didn't even think of her having to explain this to her job. Livid is not the word for what I would be. Those relatives who think it's fine to just signed up to pick him up from the airport going forward. They're essentially volunteering to be the target of his next lesson. Seriously, it shows a disturbing level of manipulation and a willingness to exploit the emotions of those closest to him. Yikes. How can a mother carry on with the plan? Because she'll probably always make excuses for that bully of a brother, and the rest of the family is guilty of the same. OP, you don't need this toxicity. Sounds like everyone is afraid to confront your brother, so he gets to continue his childish manipulations. The fact that people went along with such a cruel trick over such an understandable and harmless mistake is shocking. Maybe fake your own death and just go to a whole other place. I, 27 female, have been best friends with Kira, 27 female, since we were little. We were neighbors and went to the same school, college, etc. She was my maid of honor when I married Rowan, 28 male, who we went to college with. At first, Kira had a big crush on him, but he started liking me. We slowly got closer, and I started liking him too. After Kira told me she'd gone over it and was dating another guy, but I still felt really guilty and didn't want to date him if it would hurt Kira. I asked her multiple times if she was okay with it, and she said she was, so I thought it was fine. Kira has been with her latest boyfriend, Adam, 27, for a year or so. However, over the last few months, she's been acting strange around Rowan. Whenever we'd be hanging out with the three of us, or even with Adam there, she'd always find some way to sit next to Rowan, laugh at everything he said, etc. I didn't think anything of it initially because I knew that it was her personality and she and Rowan were friends. But then she started always asking me if Rowan was there before she came over, and if I said no, she'd often suddenly say she couldn't come. Though sometimes she would say that even if I said he was here. Rowan also told me about a comment she made to him once about how he was so patient for putting up with me, being too tired to do anything with him, now that I was pregnant, which I thought was weird. The odd behavior continued, but to be honest, The pregnancy had been keeping me too exhausted to give it a lot more thought, and Rowan seemed as friendly with Kira as always. But 2 days ago, our mutual friend Shay threw a dinner party. Rowan and I went, as did Kira and Adam. Kira got a bit intoxicated, and she kept trying to sit with Rowan and touch him. He excused himself a few times, but she kept finding him. I tried to get her off a few times, and I was getting angry because this was a new line she was crossing. She was slurring about how I stole Rowan from her. Thankfully, Adam was too busy talking to Shay's husband to hear this, but he definitely saw Kira's actions. The next afternoon, I was at Shay's again with some friends when Kira showed up. She was crying about how Adam had broken up with her that day, saying he didn't think they would work out. Everyone was consoling her, but I was just kind of sitting there. I couldn't help but feel that she brought this upon herself. She asked me, "Aren't you going to say something?" So I said, "Maybe Adam wouldn't have left you if you weren't trying to get with Rowan all the time." Some of our other friends were shocked to hear this and got angry at Kira. Some got angry with me, saying Kira was just really friendly with everyone, and that was a horrible accusation to make. Kira was upset, saying she couldn't believe I thought that offer, and maybe we weren't really that close. She left in tears, and I left soon after too. Now I don't know, maybe I was wrong. Kira had been drinking at the dinner party and might not have meant what she said, and the other stuff could have been nothing. Maybe this was too harsh to say to her after a breakup, and we could at all privately, not in front of our friends. Am I the idiot? You're the idiot because you're a coward. You've been excusing and minimizing this behavior from your friend for ages, pretending to like her while secretly noting all her poor actions, but not confronting her. Even on the night in question, your concern seemed more about whether a boyfriend had overheard than what she actually said. Did you confront her or let her know what she said made you reassess the friendship? Number. But then, someone else, her now ex, has enough of a backbone to say, "I'm not putting up with this," and you rush to stick the boot in while she's down. You were too afraid of social disapproval to actually confront to yourself. You probably would have kept pretending to her face that you liked her for the rest of your life. But as soon as someone else shows a spine, you can't wait to dramatically tear her down in front of. Next time you realize someone's behavior is unacceptable, back your own feelings rather than waiting to see what everyone else thinks and hopping on the bandwagon. Hey, let's acknowledge the fact that she's been pregnant seemingly the whole time, and it's gotten bad. And ultimately, her husband is a big boy who can stand up for himself if he really needs to. She probably should have stepped in sooner, but she was dealing with just about the most painful, stressful thing a woman can go through. And it sounds like Kira had started to get bad since Obi has been pregnant. Unless Rowan is that oblivious, he should have told her to back off a long time ago. Earlier tonight, my wife told me she had to call one of her male employees about some work business. I was preparing to start cooking dinner and didn't think anything of it, not unusual. She went out to the back porch and started talking. I could hear some of what they were talking about from where I was in the kitchen. They were complaining about other employees of the business, how the holiday was, and what they got up to, and personal issues in the employee's family life. Not a lot of actual business. I gave her a 5-minute warning that dinner was about to be ready, and I thought this was where you usually would start winding down the conversation. At this point, the phone call had been going on for well over an hour. I finished cooking and placed it up and let her know that her food was ready to go. And she gave me the 1 minute and I'll be there gesture. So I pour out some drinks, sit at the table, and wait. After a couple of minutes, I got annoyed with this situation, so I went and checked again. I got the 1 minute gesture again. I go back to the table, wait a couple more minutes, and then start eating. I finished my meal in silence and sat there still waiting. A couple of minutes later, she comes in. At this point, I was annoyed, but a simple sorry about that would have completely diffused the situation. However, she was still on the phone when she came in, talking about the employee's pet fish and their aquarium setup. She sits down and starts eating still on the phone. Not even a word to me. I found that to be so unbelievably rude that I got up, washed my plate, and stormed off. The call went on for another few minutes after that, lasting over an hour and a half total. When she finished talking, she yelled at me for being upset with her for having friends and not allowing her time to talk to them. I said some things about her employee that I regret to an extent. I never liked this person to begin with. Then I tried to explain to her why I was upset, but she insisted that I was overreacting and that I was an idiot for storming off like that and then for attacking her friend. This is the first incident like this. She doesn't have a lot of friends and rarely makes phone calls like this. We don't always eat dinner together, but we do most nights, especially if I cook something nice. I asked her why she didn't just hang up when I told her dinner was ready, and she said it would have been rude. Am I the idiot? Apparently, they are having mental health struggles and family issues, so she said it would be rude to go in the middle of that. Yes, she is the manager of the business, and this guy is an employee of the business. In my opinion, it's completely inappropriate, and she even complains endlessly about how unreliable this person is to me, but then gossips for 1.5 hours on the phone with them at 8 p.m. while dinner's getting cold. Not the idiot. Was she complaining about other employees with him too? She's completely unprofessional. If she didn't want to be rude, she could have easily said, "We're about to sit down to eat dinner. Can I call you back in 20 minutes to continue this?" It's not like that's her only opportunity to talk with her friend. She's trying to gaslight you into believing her behavior is acceptable. It's not. This and the employee is a subordinate of hers. She has a position of power over them, and they are in some kind of emotional crisis. This is already an emotional affair. The employee is probably using the mental crisis angle to get closer to the spouse, employer, and her maternal caretaker instinct is bringing her closer to the affair, escalating to physical. Tons of red flags here. She can totally be fired for this level of contact with a subordinate outside of work hours. Did no one read the last paragraph? This is a one-time event for someone who doesn't have a lot of friends. And OP and his wife have dinner regularly anyway. You could have just let it slide this one time and had a civil conversation with your wife instead of acting the way you did. I don't understand if it was multiple times. It happened once, which should have ended in an amicable conversation at the end, explaining that she had you waiting and for her to cut the call short next time. Or perhaps you have the conversation outside of dinner hours. If it's just chit-chat, there's nothing to do with work. So yeah, you are the idiot. I, 25 female, got a call from my little sister, 23 yesterday. It was late, and she asked if she and her boyfriend could stay with me. I have a guest room, so I usually don't mind. We're fairly close, but it was 10 p.m., so I asked what was going on. She said that they got an eviction notice a few weeks before Christmas and couldn't find a new place, and today they got kicked out. Something about her boyfriend forgetting a payment or a lot of payments. I'm not sure. They lived in the shady spot, so I really have no idea. We come from some pretty substantial generational wealth. My parents are both rich and always have been. My mom decided that when we turned 23, we would get kicked out and cut off so we could learn to stand on our own feet. Then when we turned 25, we get control of our trust funds. There are 3 of us total and I'm the oldest. It went well for me. It was a struggle, but I got settled and I even rejected my mom's offer to work for her company because I like where I am so much. All that to say, my sister's having a much harder time. She wants to be an actor, but she's just not getting roles. Her boyfriend is a struggling actor too, and they're really broke. Anyway, I told her to come over, then hung up and immediately called mom. I told her what happened. She always told me that we could come home if things got too miserable, but my sister was too stubborn to accept that offer. My mom got to my place just after my sister and her boyfriend. My sister called me a witch and I called her a brat. Mom basically dragged her kicking and screaming to the car and took her home. She's not in trouble, so I don't understand why she's angry with me. She actually texted me to tell me that she was blocking my number and never calling me again. She called me a lot of names too, like spoiled and golden child. Apparently dad is making her boyfriend sleep in another room. I don't know. I feel like this is all my fault and I failed her as a sister. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Unemployed actors moving in with you would never have moved out. They don't evict because of one forgotten payment. It costs people money to evict them. They're gonna try and get the rent first. Your sister and boyfriend are liars and bad with money. Her world is crashing and she's directing that anger to you instead of to who is at fault. Let her be angry. She'll calm down. You didn't do anything wrong. Disagree. There's a whole lot of backstory that we're not getting here. And I'm betting that you don't know most of it either. There is a whole iceberg underwater. There are reasons your sister contacted you, and not your parents, and you don't know what they are. I think maybe what's going on is that you and your siblings have 2 years to prove you're competent adults, and you just tanked your sister's chance, except her sister tanked her chance by getting evicted. Taking on 2 deadbeat and providing them food, clothing, and housing is ridiculous. It's not like their mother wouldn't find out they were evicted. Sister and boyfriend have taken no responsibility for their stupidity and want to blame OP for telling his mom. Too bad. You can't fix stupid. I, 29 male, grew up in a fundamentalist Baptist family. At 15, I left home and moved in with my uncle. I have a little sister, 24, with whom I made sure to keep in contact. I always told her that if she ever wanted to get out from under our family, I would do whatever it takes to help her. I went cross-country for college and graduate school. While in grad school, I met my girlfriend, 26, and we've been together for 5 years. In July, I got a call from my mentor who offered me a job back in my home state. It would be a great opportunity for my career, so I took it. The plan was for my girlfriend to move in November too. In mid-September, I got a call from my sister. She asked me if she and her kids, a female kindergarten or a male preschooler, could stay with me. I immediately say yes. I call my girlfriend on the way and tell her what's going on. She sounds frustrated but understands why I need to get them. In November, my girlfriend moves here. My sister and the kids are still here. My sister mostly keeps to herself, but I spend a lot of time with my niece and nephew when I'm not working. My sister is preparing to take the ACT to start the community college this summer. After Christmas, one of my girlfriend's friends came out to visit. I was planning to go with my sister and the kids to see my uncle, while my girlfriend and her friend went out for brunch. I didn't feel well, so I stayed home and was in our bedroom. They came home and were having a rather loud conversation. The acoustics in our house is such that you can hear what's happening in the kitchen pretty clearly in our upstairs bedroom. They were making fun of my sister. They were talking about how she dresses, talks, and acts. It went on for quite a while. The friend asked my girlfriend how she puts up with it. My girlfriend says, "I knew OP likes fixing broken crap. I guess that applies to his family too." They both laughed. It took everything in me to not march downstairs, end things right there, and kick them both out. A friend left a few days later, and I was being distant. She asked what was going on, and I told her what I heard. Her face turned pale and she apologized. I told her it didn't matter because I couldn't unring that bell, and I am contemplating breaking up. She started crying, saying how she sacrificed her life by moving to be with me and leaving her family, friends, and job. She has no job or anything here, and I'm being unfair. She said we should be able to work through this. I no longer want to be with her if that's how she feels about my family. Am I the idiot for breaking up with my living girlfriend who moved cross-country to live with me? You are the idiot. If I was expecting to live with my boyfriend and he called me saying, "Never mind, it's going to be my sister and her 2 young children joining," I would be upset. She was being catty in a private conversation with her friend. I think it would be okay for you and her to hash it out and try to move forward. She gave up a lot for you, and it doesn't sound like she's ever been unkind to your sister and her kids. You've been 5 years with this girl, and you're ready to drop her because she expressed her frustrations with the decisions you made for her. You're not a good partner. Disagree. He told her she chose to move with him before she moved. If she didn't want to stay there with his sister and her kids, then she shouldn't have moved with him. She wasn't just being catty, rude, and disrespectful to the sister, but also making fun of her boyfriend for helping his family. Doesn't matter if it was a private conversation or not. She shared her true thoughts about his sister and him, and he will never unhear that. She might want to start thinking about what it was about her that he wanted to fix.